Captain David Wilson stood at the viewport of the UES Defiant, watching the stars streak by. The massive warship, Earth's pride and joy, cut through space like a knife. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. That's when the proximity alerts began to scream. Multiple contacts. Lieutenant Susan Cooper's voice rang out from the weapons station, coming in fast from Sector 7. Wilson straightened his uniform. After 20 years in space, he knew when something felt wrong. Show me. The main screen lit up with dozens of red dots. Alien ships, unlike anything they'd seen before, emerged from what looked like tears in space itself. Their hulls gleamed with a purple-black metal that seemed to drink in the starlight. "Sir, Linda Martinez called from her eye control station. The ship's computer says these match no known patterns in our database. This is first contact." Wilson nodded slowly. Humanity had been waiting for this moment. Their first meeting with an advanced alien civilization. But something about their formation spelled trouble. These weren't peaceful explorers. "Open all channels," he ordered. "Let's try talking first." Before they could broadcast, a harsh signal cut through their communications. A face appeared on their screen. At least, they thought it was a face. The alien had gray-green skin stretched over sharp bones, with 4 glowing eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Primitive vessels of Earth, the alien spoke in oddly perfect English. "I am Supreme Commander Zex of the Zakuri Empire. Your existence in space is an offense to our ancient order. Surrender your ship and prepare your planet for colonization." Wilson's jaw tightened. He'd heard about bullies like this in the Academy, species who thought they owned the stars. "This is Captain David Wilson of the UES Defiant. We don't respond well to threats." The alien commander made a sound like breaking glass, possibly laughter. "One ship. You dare to resist with one ship. Your arrogance exceeds your intelligence. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your weapons are toys compared to ours." "Sir," Cooper whispered, her fingers flying over her console, "their shields have a weird pattern. I'm seeing gaps in their coverage. Gaps we might be able to exploit." Wilson kept his eyes on the screen, not wanting to show their hand. "Commander Zex, Earth has no interest in conflict. But if you're looking for a fight, you'll find we're full of surprises." "Surprises?" Zex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your primitive species only achieved spaceflight a century ago. We were crossing galaxies when your kind still lived in caves. You have 1 standard hour to surrender, or we will demonstrate true power." The screen went dark. Wilson turned to his crew, seeing determination in their eyes. They all knew what was at stake, not just their ship, but the future of Earth itself. "Linda, get our AI defenses ready. John, I want maximum power to shields and weapons. Susan, keep analyzing their weaknesses. Brian, plot us an escape route, but keep it in your back pocket. We're not running unless we have to." The crew jumped to action, the ship humming with increased power. Wilson returned to the viewport, watching the alien fleet spread out in an attack formation. They thought humanity was weak, primitive, easy prey. They were about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating Earth's finest. In the weapons bay, experimental quantum torpedoes waited silently in their tubes, a surprise package for any alien who thought they could push humanity around. The next hour would change everything. Either humanity would prove itself among the stars, or the Defiant would become a cautionary tale about human hubris. Wilson allowed himself a small smile. He had a feeling the Zakuri were in for quite a shock. "Your time is up, humans." Commander Zex's harsh voice filled the Defiant's bridge. "Have you come to your senses?" Captain Wilson sat calmly in his command chair. "We have. And our answer is no." The alien commander's 4 eyes flashed with rage. "Then you choose extinction. But first, we will teach you humility." Zex paused, his scaled face twisting into something like a smile. "Let us make this interesting. One of our ships against your precious Defiant. When you lose, your defeat will prove humanity's weakness." Susan Cooper's hands tightened on her weapons console. She'd spent the last hour analyzing the enemy's shield patterns. Their overconfidence had made them sloppy. Their ship's defensive systems pulsed in regular, predictable patterns. "Sir," she whispered to Wilson, "they don't know about our quantum weapons. Their shields are strongest at the front, but there's a 3-second gap in coverage near their engine ports, if we time it right." Wilson nodded slightly. "Commander Zex, we accept your challenge. Choose your champion." A massive battlecruiser, nearly twice the size of the Defiant, moved forward from the alien fleet. Its hull bristled with weapons, and strange energy patterns danced across its surface. "The Devastator will be your executioner," Zex announced. "Our finest ship, commanded by our finest warrior. This will be quick." Linda Martinez's voice came from the AI station. "Captain, I've integrated the quantum targeting systems with our main computer. We're ready." The rest of the alien fleet moved back, forming a ring around the two ships. The Devastator's weapons began to glow, charging up for what they assumed would be an easy kill. "All hands, battle stations," Wilson ordered. "John, give us everything the engines have. Brian, prepare evasion pattern Delta 7. The Defiant's crew worked with quiet efficiency. They'd trained for years for moments like this. The ship's advanced AI systems hummed to life, processing combat data faster than any organic mind could manage. The Devastator struck first, launching a barrage of energy weapons that lit up space like artificial suns. But the Defiant was already moving, dancing through the attack with precision that shocked the alien observers. "Impossible," came Zex's voice. "No human ship could move like that." Wilson allowed himself a small smile. "Lieutenant Cooper, show them what Earth can do." Susan's fingers flew across her console. The quantum torpedoes launched, their strange blue-white energy barely visible against the stars. The Devastator's commander, so confident in their superior shields, didn't even try to evade. The torpedoes passed through the shield gap like ghosts, detonating against the alien ship's hull. The explosion wasn't large, but the quantum cascade that followed ate through the enemy's armor like acid through paper. What is this weapon?" Zex demanded, his voice shaking for the first time. "Just a little something we primitive humans cooked up," Wilson replied. "Susan, target their weapons arrays. Let's show them what else we can do." The Defiant spun on its axis, its advanced engines pushing it through maneuvers that the larger alien ship couldn't match. More quantum torpedoes found their mark, systematically dismantling the Devastator's offensive capabilities. Within minutes, the mighty alien warship hung dead in space, its weapons destroyed, its engines crippled. The watching Zakuri fleet fell silent, their arrogance replaced by something new: fear. "Still think we're primitive?" Wilson asked quietly. "This is your only warning. Leave Earth space, or find out what happens when you make humans really angry." The battle was over, but the war, and humanity's fight to prove itself among the stars, was just beginning. Dr. Robert Hayes paced in the Defiant's research lab, watching data scroll across his screens. The quantum weapons had worked better than he'd hoped, but the Zakuri wouldn't stay surprised for long. They needed something more. "Linda, how's the AI adaptation coming?" he called to Martinez, who sat surrounded by holographic displays. "The ship's systems are learning fast," she replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Each time we scan their ships, we find new weaknesses, but they're adapting too." Outside, the alien fleet had pulled back, but hadn't left. More ships were arriving through their space tiers, forming a larger circle around the Defiant. The initial shock of their champion's defeat was wearing off. Captain Wilson's voice came through the ship's comm. "Doctor, please tell me you have good news." Hayes smiled as his latest simulation showed promising results. "Better than good, Captain. Remember how the quantum torpedoes disrupted their shield harmonics? Well, what if we could do that on a larger scale?" He pulled up a diagram showing waves of quantum energy cascading across multiple ships. Their shields all operate on the same frequency. Hit one ship right, and the energy disruption could spread to others nearby, like dominoes falling. Linda's eyes widened as she saw the possibilities. I can program our eye to calculate the perfect point of impact. One shot could disable several ships at once. The ship shuddered as a warning shot from the alien fleet passed nearby. The Zakuri were getting bold again, testing Earth's resolve. "How long do you need?" Wilson asked. 20 minutes, Hayes answered. "Maybe 15 if Linda's AI can process the calculations faster." "You have 10, Wilson replied. "They're not going to wait much longer." Hayes and Linda worked frantically, their minds racing faster than their hands could move. The lab's computers hummed with activity as they ran simulation after simulation. "There's something else," Linda said suddenly. The AI found a pattern in their communication signals. "They're not as united as they want us to think. Some of their ships are from different factions, barely cooperating." Hayes grinned. "If we time this right, we could set them against each other. Nothing like a little chaos to even the odds." They worked through the final calculations as the tension built. Outside, the alien fleet was moving into attack formation. They'd learned from their first mistake. This time, they wouldn't fight fair. But humanity had never needed fair odds to win. They just needed a chance, and Hayes had given them that with his quantum weapons. Now he was about to give them something even better. "Captain," he called finally, "we're ready." Linda's programmed the targeting solutions into the weapons systems. "Aim for their flagship's port nacelle. When it goes down, the quantum cascade should take out at least 5 other ships. And I've set their communication channels to broadcast their shield frequencies." Linda added, "When the cascade hits, every ship will think their allies betrayed them." Wilson's voice held a note of pride. "Well done, both of you. Let's show these aliens why you don't pick a fight with Earth." Hayes watched his screens as the weapons powered up. The Zakuri thought they had humanity outmatched in technology and numbers. They were about to learn that Earth's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or ships. It was in the minds of its people. 3 Zakuri battlecruisers moved forward, their weapons charging. Inside the Defiant's engine room, Chief Engineer John Parker watched his power readings spike dangerously into the red. "Come on, baby," he muttered, his hands flying over the controls. "Hold together." The first alien blast hit them head-on. The ship groaned but held steady. Parker's modifications to the shield generators were working. Barely. "Engineering, we need more power to the weapons." Captain Wilson's voice crackled through the comm. "You can't get blood from a stone, Captain," Parker shouted back, but his fingers were already rerouting power from non-essential systems. "Wait, I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work." He ran to the quantum core, the heart of the ship's power system. Normal protocol said never to mess with its settings during combat, but these weren't normal circumstances. "Linda, I need your eye to handle the power fluctuations," he called over the comm. "I'm going to sync the core pulses with their weapon impacts." The ship rocked with another hit. On the bridge, Navigation Officer Brian Foster executed a complex spiral maneuver, barely avoiding a beam that would have cut through their hull. "They're trying to box us in," Foster reported, his hand steady on the controls despite the chaos around them. Parker watched his readouts as the AI adjusted to his modifications. Each hit from the alien weapons now fed power back into their systems instead of draining it. The Defiant was literally turning their attacks into fuel. "Impossible," came the angry voice of a Zakuri commander over their comm channel. Their shields should have failed by now. The 3 battlecruisers pressed their attack, firing from different angles, but Foster's piloting skills kept them dancing through the gaps, while Parker's engineering tricks kept their systems running. "Susan, how's that targeting solution coming?" Wilson asked, gripping his chair as another blast rocked the ship. "Almost there, sir," Lieutenant Cooper replied. "The quantum cascade is ready. We just need them a little closer." The aliens were getting frustrated. Their formation tightened as they tried to trap the Earth ship. Just as Dr. Hayes had predicted, their overconfidence was making them sloppy. "Now," Cooper shouted, her finger hitting the launch control. The quantum torpedoes shot out, their energy trails weaving a complex pattern through space. The lead battlecruiser tried to evade, but it was too late. The first torpedo struck exactly where Hayes had calculated. A wave of quantum energy rippled across the alien ship's hull, then jumped to its nearest companion. Then the third. Within seconds, all three battlecruisers were caught in a web of cascading energy that ate through their shields like they weren't even there. "By the ancestors," one of the alien commanders whispered. "What are these humans?" Parker allowed himself a grim smile as he watched the energy readings. The Zakuri were learning what everyone eventually learned about humans. When backed into a corner, they didn't just fight back. They changed the rules of the game entirely. The battle was far from over, but Earth had just proved it could take on the best the galaxy had to offer, and win. The bridge of the Defiant erupted in chaos as warning lights flashed everywhere. Captain Wilson watched as more Zakuri ships poured through the space tiers, but something was different now. Their perfect formation was breaking apart. "Sir," Linda Martinez called out. "The AI confirms it. They're fighting each other." The quantum cascade didn't just damage their ships, it scrambled their command protocols. On the main screen, they could see alien ships firing at one another, their fleet dissolving into confusion. The quantum energy had spread through their communication networks, making each faction think the others had betrayed them. Brian Foster seized the opportunity, his hands flying over the navigation controls. "Captain, if we punch through that gap in their line, we can catch their whole fleet in a crossfire." Wilson nodded sharply. "Do it. Susan, prepare another spread of quantum torpedoes. Let's turn their own formation against them." The Defiant surged forward, its engines screaming as Foster threaded them through the chaos of battle. Alien ships scattered before them, their once mighty fleet now in disarray. Multiple targets locked. Susan Cooper announced, "Quantum spread ready." Firing. The torpedoes launched in a beautiful, deadly pattern. As they struck their targets, the quantum cascade effect multiplied, jumping from ship to ship. Shields failed. Weapons systems went dark. The mighty Zakuri fleet was being undone by their own technological arrogance. "Impossible." Commander Zex's voice crackled over the comm. "How can one human ship do this? We are the Zakuri. We have ruled space for millennia." "Maybe that's your problem," Wilson replied calmly. "You've forgotten how to adapt. Humanity learns from every fight, every challenge. You just keep doing things the same way." Another wave of quantum torpedoes struck home. More alien ships lost power, their crews watching helplessly as the cascade effect spread through their ranks like a virus. "Sir," Linda called out, "the AI has cracked their main command codes. We can shut down their entire fleet with one signal." Wilson stood from his chair, watching as the once mighty alien armada fell into chaos around them. "Send it. Let's end this." With a single command, the remaining Zakuri ships went dark, their power systems corrupted by Earth's advanced AI. The great fleet that had come to conquer Earth now floated helplessly in space, at the mercy of a single human warship. This is not possible," Zex whispered, his voice breaking. "We are superior. We have always been superior." "Not anymore," Wilson replied. "The galaxy just changed, Commander. Humanity isn't just ready for space. We're rewriting the rules." The battle was nearly over, but its impact would echo across the galaxy. The species that had thought themselves masters of space had just learned a harsh lesson. Never underestimate humanity's ability to turn the tables. Security Chief Mary Thompson raced through the Defiant's corridors, leading her damage control teams. Despite their victory over the main fleet, scattered groups of Zakuri ships were still fighting, refusing to accept defeat. "Hull breach on Deck 4. Someone shouted through the comm. Thompson changed direction, her team following close behind. "Get those repair drones in position," she ordered. "We didn't come this far to let a few desperate aliens punch holes in our ship." Above them, through the armored windows, They could see the remainder of the alien fleet breaking apart. Some ships were surrendering, their crews finally accepting the inevitable. Others were turning on their former allies, ancient rivalries erupting now that their command structure had collapsed. On the bridge, Captain Wilson watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. "Susan, target any ship that's still shooting. Show them we can do this all day if we have to." Lieutenant Cooper's quantum torpedoes streaked through space, each shot precisely calculated. The AI's targeting was perfect now, having learned from every previous engagement. Ships that tried to fight back found their weapons disabled before they could even fire. "Engineering to bridge," Parker's voice came through. "The quantum cord is still stable. We can keep this up as long as needed." The Zakuri had never faced anything like this before. Their mighty empire, built on thousands of years of technological superiority, was being dismantled by a single Earth ship. Their perfect formations had dissolved into panic, their coordinated attacks replaced by desperate individual attempts to either fight or flee. "Captain," Linda called out, "I'm picking up transmissions between their ships. They're arguing about whether to continue fighting. Some are calling for an immediate retreat from Earth space." Thompson finished securing the hull breach and headed back to her station. Through every window she passed, she could see more alien ships powering down, raising their surrender signals. The few that still fought were being systematically disabled by the Defiant's quantum weapons. "Attention all Zakuri vessels," Wilson broadcast. "Your fleet is defeated. Your weapons are useless. Surrender now, and we'll show you the mercy you wouldn't have shown us." One by one, the remaining ships went dark. Even the most stubborn warriors among them could no longer deny the truth. They had underestimated humanity, and they had paid the price. The great Zakuri fleet, which had come to conquer Earth, now floated powerless in space, humbled by the very primitives they had come to subjugate. The message would spread quickly through the galaxy. Humanity was not to be trifled with. As Thompson watched from her security station, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens had thought their advanced technology made them invincible. Instead, it had made them complacent. They never understood that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or their quantum torpedoes. It was their ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn weakness into strength. The rout was complete. The battle for Earth's future was won. Captain David Wilson stood in Earth's Grand Assembly Hall, facing representatives from 100 worlds. The defeat of the Zakuri fleet had changed everything. Humanity was no longer seen as a primitive species stumbling into space. They were now a force to be reckoned with. "The treaty is ready for signing," announced the Galactic Council member, his multifaceted eyes gleaming. "The Zakuri Empire has agreed to recognize Earth as a sovereign power and withdraw from human space." Commander Zex, now serving as his people's diplomatic representative, stepped forward. His once proud bearing was tempered by humility. "We were wrong about humanity," he admitted, his voice carrying through the vast chamber. "We saw their short history in space as weakness. Instead, it was their greatest strength." Wilson remembered the battle. Now 3 months passed. The Defiant's victory had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Species that had lived under Zakuri dominance for centuries were declaring independence. The old order was crumbling. Dr. Hayes and Linda Martinez sat among the Earth delegates. Their quantum weapons and AI systems were now legendary, but they had refused to share the technology with other species. "Some things," Hayes had said, "the galaxy isn't ready for yet." "The human spirit," Zex continued, "cannot be measured in years of space travel or technological advancement. They achieved in hours what others could not in millennia. They broke the chains of our supremacy." Susan Cooper and Brian Foster, both promoted after the battle, watched from their seats as history unfolded. The Defiant's crew had become heroes, their names taught in schools across Earth. Their battle recordings had become required study at the Space Academy. "Let this treaty mark a new era," the council member proclaimed, "one where no species claims superiority over another, where innovation and adaptation are valued above tradition and power." The signing ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions watched as humanity took its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals who had earned their right to be there. Later, back on the Defiance Bridge, Wilson looked out at the stars. Other Earth ships were being fitted with quantum weapons now, their crews training to defend human space. But everyone knew the real defense wasn't in the weapons. It was in humanity's proven ability to face impossible odds and win. "Captain," Linda called from her station, "long-range sensors are picking up something strange at the edge of the system. Want to check it out?" Wilson smiled. The galaxy was full of mysteries, challenges, and probably more species who thought they could push humanity around. But that was fine. Earth was ready. "Set a course," he ordered. "Let's show the galaxy what else humanity can do." The Defiant turned toward the unknown, carrying with it the proof that humanity's greatest weapon would always be its ability to surprise those who underestimated it.